Hello everybody, it's me, Coffee Stitcher, drinking chocolate milk out of a coffee mug, because I can. I hope everyone's having a great week. I'm back on my normal Thursday recording day, which makes me much happier. So, yeah. So a lot actually is going on today, more than I thought. This is actually attempt 2 at a video. I had a work crisis that I had to stop and deal with, so it ended up forcing me to stop. So first off, I'd like to say thank you to the now officially 888 subscribers, partially because my OCD really likes that, and partially because I'm floored that there are that many of you out there who want to watch me. So obviously, as is customary, at $1,000, whoa, at 1,000 subscribers, there will be a giveaway. And I haven't quite finalized what I'm going to do just yet, but I'm guessing that'll probably be here in the next month. I'm guessing. I don't really quite know, but I'm guessing probably in the next month there'll be a giveaway. So that means I'll have hit 1,000 subscribers in under a year, which just blows my mind that I'm that successful at this. It blows my mind. So thank you. Today I have the Stash Queen's Stash Enhancement Tag to do. I've got some WIPs. I've got a little bit of like traditional haul and a little bit of non-traditional haul. So, and then one other thing, to answer Teresa's question about Mirabilias, don't be afraid of them. They really are the same. They are really just a whole bunch of little X's. The only difference is, instead of having full, long rectangles like on the Heaven and Earths, you move around a little bit, and there's more shape work to it. But it's really not hard. If you're concerned, I would start with a Nora Corbett first. Same designer, but the Nora Corbetts tend to have fewer beads, fewer metallics, mostly rely on DMC with a couple of occasionally water lilies. That way you can sort of get your feet wet. They're also smaller. So if you really are concerned, that is a really good way to get yourself started. So, yes. Alright, so the more traditional haul, which I realized I've got to pick part of it up. First, from Claire in Stitchmania, we were talking about Cindy of Fishy Crafts. Started the nursery rhyme sampler that Joan Elliott did, and I really like it, but I don't really like to buy the kits, because I prefer to kit it up myself. And I was having trouble just finding the chart, and she said, well, I've got it, and I'm done with it. Here, please take it. So, and actually, I didn't know it had been done in a magazine first. So she sent me the chart, and this really adorable owl needle minder. And he's made out of balsa wood. So I actually attached him to the clock I use back here, because I thought he was super cute, and I was worried that I might accidentally hurt him, because I am not very delicate at all times. So, yeah. So, very, very adorable. Thank you, Claire. And then from Candace's giveaway, I got Favorite Spot Sampler from Plum Street, which says, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. There's also a brown paper package tied up with a string, a girl in a white dress with a blue satin sash. There's some snowflakes, you know, to stay on your nose and eyelash. And no spring flowers, but that's okay. So, and it uses all gentle arts, which always makes me happy. And actually, I have a handful of these, but I don't actually have most of them. So those were the more stashy hauls that I got. In the non-stash haul, as a lot of you know, my grandmother is moving, and so there were old needlepoint or old cross-stitch pictures in the house that I decided to take and not let go into our estate sale. So most of these were done by my mother. This first one here actually wasn't. This one was done by my great-grandmother, who I actually did not realize did cross-stitch. And it is a stamped kit. It says, a person travels the world over in search of what one needs and returns home to find it. And she, according to this, did this in spring or summer of 1984. She died April 25th of 1985. So this was done just before she passed away, and she had, I believe, Crutchfield. The official diagnosis was Crutchfield-Jacobs disease, which is where your brain stem deteriorates, and potentially is actually can potentially get it. That's what I'm looking for from eating beef. So my grandmother quit eating beef at that point. Now Mimi did also have tumor or something up here, and so Mom thinks it was actually just the radiation results of that many years down the road, but she deteriorated very, very quickly. Obviously, if she went from being able to do this to dead inside of a year. So that was the first thing I saved. Then I saved this one, which my mother did in here, we'll go in order, actually. This is also the biggest one. This one was in the garage. It needs some dusting and a little bit of cleanup. This one was done in 1977. It's just sort of a traditional lace sampler that, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. So, but because it says there's no place like home and I'm the Oz kid, that sort of meant that it was going to stay. And then came this one in 1978. Another alphabet with a church and trees and blue. Very, very traditional. Then in 1979 comes this one, which has some satin stitches and some French knots and nice funky colors. Early to bed, early to rise, makes man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And then last but not least, this was completed the year after I was born, so dear Lord knows how long she actually worked on this thing, because I was not an easy child. This one, and this one's actually kind of interesting because all of the background, so the brown and the blue and the green grass, with the exception of like the bushes, is actually printed onto the linen. So it was stamped because she didn't do anything counted that wasn't on Ada. But this was all stamped, and that was actually printed on the fabric, which I think is kind of cool. So, like I said, this is from 1987. So, there you go. So, 4 generations of cross-stitchers in my family. You saw my grandmother's last week. She kept 2 of her pieces, so Lord knows if and when you'll ever see those. Mom has a couple of hers still throughout the house. But there you go. Cross-stitching's in my family. I'm the 4th generation. So there we go. Alright, next up is going to be WIP updates. Now, as you may recall, we are in Wine and WIPs. And so my wine project this week was going to be my Sew to Stitch in the Fairy Tales book. And I did sort of work on it. I did actually work on it. I did finish up Alice, but I only started on Snow White. So here you go. That's where I'm at. And then close up on what I did. I decided to go as much as I could with the Tenniel illustrations in this one. So the Cheshire Cat is brown and gold. Alice still looks like Alice, and the White Rabbit is in more traditional colors there. Color swap wise, obviously the trees I changed. I changed the checkerboard grass. There is more grass that goes under Alice, but because it runs into Snow White, I thought, you know what, I'll leave this until I've got the Snow White characters in. That way, if I get off, it's easier to work around characters than to force characters to fit. And then I did do a little bit of my another color swap. I used Wizard Island, which was a Floss of the Month from Dragonfly Lotus, on this mushroom here, and I put some French dots for its dots. And it was a beautiful color. It's actually worked in half stitches, because it was thick enough that full crosses were just too bulky. So I actually worked it in half stitches. I did originally have the clouds, or one of the clouds, but it just didn't look good, so I took out the clouds, because I thought, you know what, my sky, it already sort of has that blue and white running through it that makes it look a little bit like it's got clouds, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then I was supposed to work on the rest of it and spend a full week on it. That didn't actually go as planned. So what I ended up doing was I actually switched WIPs in the middle of the week and went to Katie's idea, which is an hour on the project a day. So this is going to be actually the official WIP for next week, and I'm going to work an hour a day on it. What I ended up working on instead was Master and the Macabre. So, in case you don't recall, this is what the full pattern looks like. It says, Once Upon a Midnight Dreary, E.A. Poe. And I did some color substitutions in it because I didn't want to buy all of the Thread Gatherer Silken colors, so only one of the actual Silken colors is being used. I converted everything else. And as you probably know, I was a little stymied on the roof. So there we go. That's how much left of the roof I have. I've worked an hour a day on it for the last, well, since Sunday. And that has really worked well for me. So, what I'm actually going to do going forward is every project, I'll have a weekly project that's going to be my main focus of the week. And then I'm going to have one project that I'm either whining about or has a section that is really causing me problems, like the roof, or, you know, where there's no real reason why I shouldn't be able to finish this, but for whatever reason I'm having issues. And it's going to get an hour a day. So it'll get 7 hours by the end of each week. And I like that idea. Now, unfortunately, because I'm me, and while I do have many, many, many wonderful qualities, this one right here is not one of them. I had to start something new. Because why not? So I started on my By the Bay, Home by the Sea, because it was small and it was pretty and I really wanted to work on it. So this is where I'm at. I'm not too far from being done on it. I've got the hill and some flowers and then the fence post. So I'm really almost there. I did do a few slight color changes. The dark green is Elizabethan green from Gloriana, and I've replaced several things. I've done some color swapping. The white on the house is Jersey Shore from Gloriana, and then the brown is Coffee Bean from Gloriana. So there's some yellow flowers, some red flowers, and then I'm going to use for the hillside La Florian, which is actually a wool from Dragonfly Lotus, because it looks so nice and pretty and sort of hillsidey, and I've been wanting to work with it, and I thought, oh, this would actually be really perfect for it. So, and I'm getting to use one of my thread keeps, which always makes me happy. And I'm using the Ariel Needle Minder. And then, in anticipation of Specialty Stitch September, which is going to be our monthly event for Stitch Mania in September, I went ahead and got started. My friend Tracy, who is doing it with me, her kit arrived, so I stitched a little bit on it this morning. I'm going to go back and actually, after this video, probably resume working on it. But I started my chatelaine. As you can't really tell, I mean, it doesn't really, I really haven't done much. I did that little bit there. My Ursula needleminder is going to be used on this project. So, yeah, there was a whole lot of, to quote Julia, there was a lot of as I was doing it, because I was like, oh god, I don't want to screw this up. I'm starting with a frame, and I don't normally start with frames. I normally start in the middle. Yeah. I'm much more comfortable with it now. It is a dark enough fabric. It's Midnight Tryst from Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. I did floss toss against Dye Stitch Love's Key Lime. And 2 of the greens in it just disappeared. And I just thought, because I do need those greens, they were all internal, so I thought, I could get away with it, but one of them was used as backstitch. And I thought, I don't want to risk that. So we're doing it on that, and I will find other things for that pretty color. I don't know what, but I will. Maybe Raven Queen. That might be a good one for Raven Queen. It's a shame Disney's never licensed a Nightmare Before Christmas chart, because something Nightmare Before Christmas would look really good on that. It would look really good on that. Or the Brooks Books Oz. I don't really know. It could be a lot of things. So there we go. So what else did you work on this week? Oh, I hate to hear that. Okay, well, if you're happy with it, then that's really what matters the most. Alright, well. Okay. Well, that was really good to hear. So now we begin the Stash Enhancement Tag. Oh, and before I forget, the Texas Challenge has not been dropped. My planned comeback is currently on back order, because of course. But it will be epic, and I will win. Okay, so the tag. First, what is your favorite pattern in your stash that you have not started yet, and what has kept you from starting it? Well, that's not quite super easy. There's 3 of them. One of them is Wonderland the Game by Prairie Moon. And mostly the main reason I haven't started it is because I actually do want to do it. It's charted for NPI Silk. And I actually really, having seen it stitched in the NPIs and then comparing it to the DMC conversions, I really do want to do it in NPI. But NPI is a little pricey, so it's going to have to wait until I've got some extra bucks. One of them is my Michael Powell's Garden Sampler. And I simply haven't started it. I've got the floss for it. I just really need to get the fabric for it. And I'm just kind of waiting until there's something, until I free up the rotation. And then the other one is my Do-Re-Mi from Silver Creek. The main reason I haven't done this one yet is it's on a long piece of linen. Like, the design itself is, if I did it on 40 count, would need 20 inches. So it's gonna be bigger than, well, no, it would fit on a fat quarter, I think. I think fat quarter is, 17 by 20, 18 by 26. So it would fit on a fat quarter with no problem. But if I did it on 40 count, If I did it on anything else, I would probably need a half. But because it's so narrow, what I'm trying to do is wait until I find another project that's equally long and thin, like either By the Bay's Nantucket Village or her Serenity Harbor, which I signed up for that I really want to do. So I need to find two projects that will both fit onto a half yard that I can cut down the middle. And then I get two projects out of one fabric. And therein lies the problem, is finding that. So that's the main reason why I haven't started that. So, there you go. Question number 2. What is my favorite non-pattern item in my stash? That would probably have to be either my button scissors that I got from Kemi, because these are wonderful scissors. These are my favorite scissors. Or it would have to be my Ursula needle minder, because it's Ursula. And I love me some Ursula. So it would have to be one of those two. What do you have the most of in your stash? Patterns, floss, fabric, or other, something other? Probably patterns, followed by floss. I got a lot of patterns. I don't have a lot of fabric. I really, really don't have a lot of fabric. I tend to buy fabric as I need it, versus I'm only in one fabric of the month, and that's Dye Stitch Loves. I tend to buy fabric as I need it. And I tend to buy fat quarters. Besides your LNS and big box craft shops, where is your favorite place to buy stitching supplies? Well, we're going to divide this into two. If it comes to patterns, I tend to buy a lot off of Etsy from Etsy designers, because there's a lot of them out there I do like. Some of them I will buy specifically from their designer website, so I find them through Etsy and then go to their website. Some of them I just buy straight from Etsy. But for other things, probably 1-2-3 Stitch. I really enjoyed my experience with Stitching Bits and Bobs, so I'm probably going to give them another try or two, see how they compare out. But I do really love, I do really love 1-2-3 Stitch. So, name one item you've purchased that was not meant for crotch stitch that you have repurposed for your craft. I did not purchase this. I stole it from my grandmother. But I really love my toffee tin that, as I think I showed you last week, has needle minders and beads. Nope. So I really love my toffee tin. Name one item in your stash that you were unable to purchase after seeing someone else with that item. Well, we're going to go back to this one. Damn you, Organic Granny. No, not really. I actually love you. Please don't die, or be damned. But her. I saw this. I had to have it. My LNS ordered it. It is now mine. And I love it. So there you go. If someone asked you what was the one must-have pattern that they had to have in their stash, which pattern would you recommend? This was a tough one, because there's a lot of patterns out there that I really, really love that I've got that I feel like everyone should have. But the first one that really came to mind, and of course this is not the one, where is part 3? Part 3, where are you? Oh, there you are. Part 3 has the whole picture. It's Blue Jeans and Daisies by Blue Ribbon Designs. There's the finished one. It was a mystery sampler in 2013. And there's several reasons behind this one. This is not to take away from Plum Street, who I adore. This is not a way to take away from By the Bay Needle Art, who I equally adore and am really having a blast with. Or the Frosted Pumpkin, you know, or any other designer out there. So please, because I know there are a few out there that do watch me, this is not meant to take away from you. The reason I picked this one is for a couple of reasons. It's got all of those wonderful little mini motifs. So you get a mini finish within a day or two. And that's always a good, exciting feeling. You're like, oh, I got one done. Let's go on to the next one. I got another one done. And that's really exciting. The colors are beautiful. My LNS has this done in Gentle Arts. When I kitted this up, I wasn't able to afford the Gentle Arts. So I did the DMC, and it looks just as good with the DMC. It's adaptable to specialty stitches, but you don't have to do them. It's not like some of the things where I've done where I've changed things and thought, oh, well, this looks a lot better than the original. The original was perfectly gorgeous. I just wanted to experiment, and it's been a perfect one to experiment with. It looks gorgeous, period. End of discussion. It's super fun. Her charts are laid out extremely well, and I'm going to try and show these back as far as I can so that no one can copy them. But the instructions are very easy to read. She gives you stitch diagrams for any specialty stitches. Almost every pattern of hers that I've seen or that I own gives you fun finishing ideas for the different things. This one happens to have been a needle book. So it tells you how to build a needle book. And this one also had a jumble, so you can get a bonus thing. And I forget what the bonus is. I have it downloaded, and then I forgot what the password was, and I didn't actually write in the bonus pattern's answer. So I need to do that again. But it came with a bonus pattern, which, hey, who doesn't love a bonus pattern? But the charts themselves are so simple and so easy to read. And she's so good about, I mean, they're clear. She's really good. Belinda, forgive me if this is not okay, but you're going to see the symbol guide. She doesn't tend to get symbols that are close together. She gives you as well on the back what the stitch count is, the design size, and how big of a cut you need with a 3-inch seam allowance. She also tells you which specialty stitches are in it on the back. So if you don't like specialty stitches, or there's one you really cannot stand, you can look at it and go, oh, well, this is on here. So it just, the packaging overall, the chart itself, the way it stitches up, I can't recommend this one enough. I think it's phenomenal. Equally wonderful, Plum Street. I love her charts are very well laid out and easy to read, and her symbols are great. Frosted Pumpkin, I like that you get the two colors. There are a lot of things out there that I really love. So please don't, any designer out there that I did not mention or don't feel like because I picked hers as my must-have that I dislike y'all, because there's no intent of that there. So there you go. And then finally, if someone asked you what one designer they had to check out to enhance their stash, who would it be? There is no one designer. There are all the designers. Literally. All of them. It would kind of depend a lot on the person's taste, to be totally honest. There's something on my screen. There we go. A lot on the person's taste. For instance, I know that Katie really likes Joan Elliott, so I would probably, even though I've never done one, I would say, well, why don't you look at Passion Racomo? I know that, you know, if someone I know likes full coverage charts, I'm going to say, hey, look, if they haven't already, at Heaven and Earth Designs, but instead maybe look at, you know, one of the Etsy designers who's done like an 8-bit overworld map. Some of my So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out the designers that I've really, really loved, enough to buy multiples of theirs. It doesn't necessarily mean that I haven't liked somebody, just that I haven't bought multiples of theirs. Obviously, Blue Ribbon Designs, Belinda Carlson Ace. Plum Street, which is Paulette Stewart. I bought several of Elizabeth's from Elizabeth's Needlework Designs, although I haven't stitched any yet. Brooke Nolan of Brooks Books, fabulous. Lizzie Kate, although I really prefer her smalls over her big ones. Soda Stitch is great. If you like, you know, those are really, I think, the ones that I've probably bought the most of. Here in the next couple of days, I'm going to actually do a pattern organization, and I'm going to try and group things better than I've got in there. And then I can actually find out what I've got, to a degree. But there are just so many really nice things out there. By the Bay, I'm in love with. So there you go. Those are the ones. I've recently discovered Madame Lefay. Really like a lot of her stuff. I just bought my first, I think it's Tempting Tangles. Yes, Tempting Tangles. I bought Longfellow's Round Tower because I was enabled by somebody on Instagram. Thank you, Tattooed Stitcher. I don't know if you actually watch FlossTube, but if you do, you enabled me there. So yeah. So there we go. Anyhow, I hope everyone's doing well. That's all I've got for this week. Let's see what happens next week. So, I will see you all soon. Oh, and my salute. Because I haven't done that in a while, so here's an extra one.